What's up guys, welcome back to today's video. Happy Sunday! Happy day of pamperation, happy day of relaxation, and happy first day of a new series here on my channel guys. Every Sunday, I'm going to come at you live, expect a video every single Sunday morning, because I'm looking for a way to talk to you guys more, kind of in like a more casual chit-chat style video, one-on-one, like let's hang out every Sunday. So here we are. Sunday is a day of total pamperation for me. I love to do skincare. I love to do a face mask. I like to beautify. You know, I just like to get everything kind of like on fleek for the rest of the week. So I figured on Sunday, why don't I sit down with you guys, same place, same time. We do some type of like pamperation, face mask, like skincare routine. But here's the twist. We're just going to talk one-on-one for the entire video. So we're going to cover hot topics, story times, hot tea. I mean, I've got so much to tell you guys. I could just sit here and talk and babble incessantly forever. So if this is something that you guys are interested in, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys want to talk about, what things you want to hear. If you want me to talk about YouTube drama, if you want me to talk about top 10, I mean, we can talk about anything here on my channel, which leads us right into today's video, which is a story time. Like no one knows the story except for my closest friend, you guys. And that's exactly what I feel like with you guys is like, we're all just friends hanging out. And I'm about to tell you the craziest story of how I basically died in London. I got strapped to a stretcher. I was wheeled through an airport, right through security, like set the security thing off because I was strapped to a stretcher. I basically died in the hospital. I had to check myself out. I ran away to a hostel. I didn't pay. I ran. I got on a train. I got on an emergency flight. This story is a big one. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, and settle in because this story time is something else. Okay guys, so as I go ahead and tell you this crazy story, we're gonna go ahead and pamper ourselves. We're gonna do a little face mask. And today, this might not even be a pamper session. We're gonna be using the world's most extreme and painful peel-off mask. I don't know why I'm choosing to do this, but I just thought it would make for a good video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put my hat on because we don't want any hairs to stick in this charcoal mask. This is the Hellpore cleanup mask. I've talked about it here on my channel before. If you've seen videos on the internet of people peeling this face mask off, they scream. They scream, they scream, they scream because this is a very, very powerful mask. It contains charcoal. It's great for pores, blemishes. All right, guys, where do I even begin? I'm gonna go ahead and just blob some of this face mask on my skin and I'm gonna start to rub it around. Should take about 5 to 10 minutes to dry down, so I won't do it too thick. I'm just gonna spread this all over the skin. All right, so where do we begin? I'm gonna set the stage. This is young Trevor, just moved to London, England. I just had this fantasy. I can feel this running down my nose. I just had this fantasy after university that I really just wanted to move to London, really just to like see the culture and experience England. I mean, oh, it's in my mouth. Oh, that's gross. You know what? This basically sums up this story altogether. So young Trevor decides to move to England and just like fulfill the fantasy of moving to Europe with a backpack after graduation, which is exactly what I did. I had no luggage. Oh, this is steaming my eyes. I had no luggage. I moved to London. I, at the time, had a fake resume. So I started serving at a restaurant. No experience. Oh, I'm trying to be really careful here around my eyebrows because I do not want to pull them off. So I ended up getting a job at Tiger in London, right in Piccadilly Circus, right downtown. Let me tell you, that was the craziest thing I think I have ever done. And I just worked. I worked. I served. I worked like doubles on doubles on doubles. I lost so much weight, you guys, because all I was eating was Tesco sandwiches, Cool Ranch Doritos, and chocolate milk. I basically lived at Starbucks. I would get my lunch from Tesco, go to Starbucks, hang out, stream some internet, watch some TV, watch Friends. And basically, I was like withering away to nothing because that's what happens when you work for, you know, 90 hours a week and are only eating Tesco sandwiches. So I decide after working for a while that I'm going to do some traveling. Obviously, you know, Ryanair, you can hop on an airplane for, you know, 15 pounds and go to Spain. So me and my friend Farah, if she's watching, shout out girl, she is French. And she decided she wanted to go to Spain with me. I thought, fantastic. I have a friend to go to Spain with because I didn't know anyone when I moved away, but I had met this girl over there. And I thought, great, you know, she can come with me. At least I won't get murdered, captured, or if it happened, we would be together at the very least. So I thought, great, I'm just going to go to Spain, you know, for I think it was maybe like 2 weeks or something. And I was literally, I bought a book. I was reading Girl on a Train. Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. I was reading Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, maybe like the second or third book because I had read the first few while I was living over there. So I bought a new book. I was like, great, I'm gonna just live in the hostel over there or just like stay there and just go to the beach and read for weeks. I had just finished working. I had worked myself to the bone. I was like, Trevor, it is time to treat yourself. Go to Spain. So oh, this mask feels so disgusting, you guys. I wish you could feel it, but I also wish that you don't because it feels so gross and goopy. And the fumes are getting in my eyes and it's really burning. So I'm on my way to Spain. I remember that morning I had some strawberries, I had some toast and peanut butter. I was preparing for the airport, just like I was ready to go to Spain. I was ready to live my best possible life. Like after working myself to the bone, literally looking, I don't even have anything here that was as skinny as I was. I was like this skinny, you guys. I had withered away to nothing. So that's why I was so excited to lay on the beach. So fast forward to around noon, we meet Farah. I meet her and we're going to the airport and we're like, yes, Spain, Española. So excited. Where were we going? At the time we were going to, I want to say Barcelona. I later went to Madrid, but I think we were going to Barcelona this time. So we meet, we take the tube. I forget which tube we took. Who knows? It's irrelevant. Anyway, we took the tube to the airport. Here begins the story. I can't believe you guys, I can't even formulate into words this story. Just wait until you hear it. So we're on our way in the tube, just like living life. And all of a sudden I start to feel some pain in my stomach. And I'm thinking like, this is weird. Like I don't really have any digestion issues. I didn't eat anything weird. Maybe it could be nerves, but not really. I mean, I traveled so much at this point that going somewhere else was just like no big deal. So I'm on my way there and I'm thinking like, oh, this is so weird. Like, why do I have these stomach pains? We get to the airport and we're just like living life, hanging out. This all happened at security. So first of all, I remember having some type of fluid in my bag that I couldn't bring that was too much. And I remember them like reaming me out. So I had to go and dump out my fluid. So that happened. And then I remember going back to security. And on my way to security, like on my way to the metal detectors, I could feel more pain in my stomach. And I was like, okay, this is weird. This pain is like getting real intense. It's going from like 0 to 100 very quickly, like in the matter of, oh, my face is itching. Oh, as this mask starts to dry down. Oh, in a matter of like 5 minutes, I went from 0 to 100 with pain in my stomach, pain that physically, like I was doubled up, you guys. Like I couldn't even lift myself up. So I'm on my way through the metal detector and I feel like I'm gonna faint, but I also feel like it could be from the pain in my stomach, maybe like not a fainting sensation, but like the pain is so intense that I'm gonna faint. And I remember thinking as I was walking through the metal detectors, like, don't faint, Trevor, don't faint, Trevor. I'm putting my stuff in the bin and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to faint. So I start walking through the metal detectors and I'm like, they're going to think you're a Trevor. They're going to think that you're like, because you're sweating so profusely, like you have got a bomb on you. They're going to frisk you down. They're going to think you're crazy. Everything like accumulated as I'm walking through the metal detector. And then I remember thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to faint. And I just faint. Cold. Like I'm out cold in the metal detector. I wake up thinking like, oh, what's happening to me? Like the pain in my stomach is so bad. I'm gonna faint. I remember everyone like escorting me off to the side, sitting me on the bench, and like I'm doubled over because the pain is so bad. Mind you, I'm terrified because I'm alone, like with no family, no friends, just this random girl that I met. And I remember telling her like, the pain is so strong. I don't think I should go to Spain. Like I shouldn't keep going to a country when I've just fainted and the pain is so bad. But it was like, we got to get to the flight. We got to get to the flight. And I remember telling her like, go without me. And I remember feeling so guilty because she wasn't even going to Spain. She was just going to Spain because I was going to Spain. And here she is now, like, I think that I'm dying and I'm sending her on to Spain by herself for like a whole trip, whatever, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, by herself, straight up. She was probably terrified and thinking like, this guy is crazy. He just fainted on the way to the airport. So here we are. Girls, the story is not even started yet. Like, if you think this is bad, you just wait. So I'm sitting off to the side. I've told myself like, okay, you cannot go to Spain. You can't go to another country where you don't have any insurance, yada, yada, yada. So I decide not to go. I send Farah. She's gone off by herself. I'm feeling miserable. The pain is so bad. I'm like, you've got to call 911. I've got to go to the hospital. Meanwhile, I'm like making all these decisions for myself like a true adult, you know? This is quite impressive. So 911 is called, the paramedics come, I'm just on the other side of the metal detectors and they show up with a stretcher, like a full stretcher, straps, everything. And they're like, okay, Trevor, you've got to either walk to the ambulance or we have to put you on the stretcher and like strap you in. I was like, okay, I don't want to be like, can I just sit on the stretcher and you guys just like push me? They said, no, for insurance, you have to be strapped in, like, you know, clicked in. So I couldn't physically walk because the pain was so bad. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to lay on the stretcher. So I lay on the stretcher, I hold my book bag. I'm miserable at this point. I wish there was like pictures of this. There might be, I might have pictures around the time. That was like old school cameras. So I remember click, click, 2 straps. I am strapped to the stretcher at this point. Don't know what's going on. Like, I think I'm dying. Strapped to the stretcher, and I'm being wheeled through the airport. Not wheeled through like a security backdoor exit, like wheeled through the airport. So they wheel me back out the metal detectors. Obviously it goes off because the stretcher is metal. Everyone looks at me. Everyone. Because here's this guy, young guy strapped to a stretcher. What the heck is going on? They wheel me all the way out of the airport. This is all a blur. I remember getting into the ambulance, being taken to the hospital. Vaguely. I don't know why I don't remember this. Like, I was not on drugs. I was not drinking. This was just like, I think the pain was so intense that I can't remember anything. So I show up at the hospital. I remember, okay, also, this airport was Gatwick Airport, which is not the main one. It's like off in a little bit of the country. So I remember getting to the airport out by Gatwick. The hospital was like a bungalow made of like pressed wood with a tin roof. I thought, oh my God, like this is it. This is the end of my life. Like, I don't know where I am. I don't know how to call my parents. I'm at this bungalow hospital. They wheeled me out, I swear to God, in a wooden wheelchair. Now that I'm remembering that, this is even more scary. Like a wooden wheelchair. Oh my God, this mask is so itchy, you guys. Ooh, heaven bless me. So I get wheeled inside emergency and the telephone is over there. I guess it's collect calling from the payphone. Calling my parents. And I don't think they were home. I think I left a message at first. I remember calling. Oh my gosh, I just need to itch my nose. Oh, this mask. Oh my God. Okay, so I remember calling and leaving them a message. I forget what I said, but I don't know if it's like, hey, I didn't make it to Spain. I'm in the hospital instead. That's kind of like all I said from the payphone. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, they're not home. How are they gonna find me? I didn't have a cell phone. I don't remember why I didn't have a cell phone. It must have been just before I moved home when I was going to Spain, so I didn't have a cell phone. We were just communicating via Skype and email and stuff. Also, this was like before cell phones were like on and popping big time. I call, they didn't answer. I get admitted to the hospital. And guys, this is where it gets even more crazy. The doctor was insane. I had the most maddening experience of my life. Long story short, this doctor told me that he wanted to open me up for exploratory surgery. Exploratory surgery. Exploratory surgery. Oh my God, let me rewind a little bit. When I was waiting in like the other room after the emergency room, I remember the phone ringing and I remember answering the phone and it was my mom. My mom had like found the hospital that I was at and the room that I was at and like tracked me down. So at this point, I'd already touched base with my parents. We didn't really know what was going on yet, but we did touch base. I was like, okay, I'm alive, but we're not really sure what's going on. So he scans my insides and he's like, we don't know what's going on. We're gonna open you up for exploratory surgery. Exploratory surgery. I start freaking out. I'm like, no, like I can't do this. I can't have exploratory surgery on my own in this bungalow shack in a different country without my parents, without my friends, without my family. It's just not gonna happen. And this part of the story is like, it gets even worse as I go on. Like this is, if you think this is bad still, like we haven't even reached the epitome yet. The Bible has not entered the story yet. Totally freak out. I'd been at the hospital now for probably like 8 hours or something. This mask is starting to peel off at the bottom. It's almost dry, you guys. So eventually, after freaking out for like so many hours, guys, I got up and I had to sign myself out of the hospital. I had to sign all these waivers that like if I died, it was not their problem because they would not let me go. I was like, I need to get, like, I'm gonna literally rip these things out of my, I remember, you guys, also they couldn't find any veins to take blood. So they had to shave the front of my arm and take blood from the front of my arm. This is a true story. Shaved my arm, took blood from the front of my arm. You wanna talk about pain? This hospital was insane. So anyway, I'm like, I've got to get out of here. So I try and leave. The doctor's like, no, you're not allowed to leave. Like, you have to stay here. You have to get surgery. We don't know what's going to happen to you. And I was like, no, I'm leaving. So I had to fill out all these papers, sign myself out, say that if I died, it wasn't their fault, yada, yada, yada. I basically ripped the things out of my arm and was like, I've got to go. So at this point, I remember leaving the hospital, going through the emergency exit, having the receptionist call me a cab. I remember getting in the cab and being like, it was probably midnight at this point, and I was like, take me anywhere. You've got to just take me anywhere. Have me, like, you've got to know somewhere, a hotel, someone's bedroom, someone's closet. Like, I've got to go. Like, I'm also so drained, you guys. Like, I'm basically falling asleep in the cab. Don't know where I'm going. Just take me somewhere. Actually, he called around to different hotels and they were all full because it was probably the middle of the night and like your rooms are booked by then. I get it. He finally finds a bed and breakfast and I go to it. Like, I don't care what the price is. I don't care anything. Like, I've just got to go to sleep because I have to wake up and somehow get home. So I show up at this bed and breakfast in the middle of the night. The sweet little old lady like welcomes me in. It's literally her home. I go upstairs. You guys can picture like I'm in the English countryside, her little home, like bricks, you know, green things outside. Not like city like at all, total English countryside. I remember going upstairs. There's a little room up there. So small. It's like the size of a closet. I crawl into bed. I remember there was cookies. On top of the dresser next to me, there was like packs of cookies in plastic. I remember eating these cookies. I can't remember if I called my parents then or until the next morning, like after I fell asleep. I remember obviously they knew where I was, so I must have called or something. And then I fell asleep. Now this is where the story gets even crazier, you guys, but let's start to pull this mask off because it is driving me crazy. All right, so fast forward a few hours and I wake up the next morning freaking out. Obviously, like I'm freaking out. Like I think I have cancer. I think that my insides are dead. I think that I'm literally dying in a different country where I don't know where I am. I don't know whose house I'm at. Everything is just like so chaotic. I was like, I've got to get out of here. So I hop on the Wi-Fi, my laptop at the time. Wi-Fi was not even on and popping at this time either. It was like, oh, the internet connection was so bad. I remember getting on the Gatwick Airport website, trying to find a flight home that day. And there was one flight later that day. And because it was so close to the flight time, I wasn't allowed to book it online. I had to go to the airport. And here's where things get interesting. So I start freaking out, obviously, because I'm like, I have 1 hour to get to the airport or like 2 hours or something. Like I need to get to the airport. So I'm running around. This is probably like 8 o'clock in the morning, basically like screaming for the owner of the bed and breakfast. Like, hello, where are you? I need to pay. I need to get out of here. Like I need a phone. I need something. Like you guys have got to help me. Would you believe that there was no one to be found? I couldn't find the owner of that house, of that bed and breakfast anywhere. I remember going out to the backyard and being like, hello, hello, being in the kitchen. Hello, hello. Nobody. No one's home. Probably like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. So I'm running around the house screaming like, help me, like I need your help. I need to pay. I need to leave. Can't find anyone. So do you guys know what I did? This is the most shameful part and the most embarrassing part of the story. I ran away from the bed and breakfast. I ran away from the bed and breakfast. I couldn't find them to pay. I had no cash. I literally looked everywhere for them. I don't even know like where I was, what their name was, what the name of the bed and breakfast was. All these years later, I've been like, I should send them a check because they were so sweet to open their door to me in the middle of the night. And here I am running away. But you guys, I was running away because I thought I was dying. I really thought I was dying, which I think is a good excuse. So what exactly happened is I remember throwing on my red hoodie with a hood, zipped it up like as if red's the most inconspicuous color ever, threw my book bag on, and girl, I ran. I ran right out of the house. I ran right down the hill to the train station that was connected to the airport because my priority was like, get home, Trevor. You need to get home. You need to get home. You need to get home. So here I am physically running. Like this book bag is huge because it was packed for 3 weeks. So I'm like running and you know, the bag is like bump, bump, bump behind me. And I'm just like running like I need to get out of here. And all the while I'm like looking behind me to see if the police are coming because I think that the people have called the cops on me, which they should have because I did run away and I didn't pay. I forgot to tell you guys the crux of the story at the bed and breakfast is when I opened the drawer to try and find a card or something to see where I was, to even like leave money or just send money later, I opened the drawer next to the bed. Do you know what was in there? The Bible. Pull open the drawer and literally the Bible is like, ah! And meanwhile, I'm about to run away from this bed and breakfast. So that part of the story has stuck with me all this time too. Like, as if you need to see any more terrible reminders that you're being like a human is when you pull open the drawer to try and like see if there's information to send them money and the Bible's there instead. I mean, it just goes from worse to worse to worse. I'm just going to use a couple pumps of my L'Oreal Hydrogenius. So here I am running to the train station, terrified that the police are behind me, literally looking over my shoulder every 10 seconds, basically to like just submit myself for arrest because I knew they were coming. I get to the train station and I buy a student ticket because I have a student like travel card. I forget what it's called. Like an international student something or other because I went from university straight over there. So I get my train ticket. I ride the train. The police do not come. Let me tell you the relief sensation when I got on the train and the doors shut and the police were not there. Because, I mean, I was ready to be arrested. I get on the train. I buy a student ticket. Remember this because in the story, this is very important later. And I'm riding the train to the airport. Now, this is the longest train ride of my life, as you can imagine, because A, I think I'm dying of cancer. B, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on this plane when I get there. And C, I'm just beside myself. I just run away from a hostel or a bed and breakfast. So fast forward a little bit and we get to the airport. I get off the train and I'm like running and I get to the ticket wicket where you kind of like put your train stub in and it like lets you out. I had lost my train ticket. I lost my train ticket. So because they don't check train tickets on the train, when you get to your destination, that's when you prove that you have a ticket. I did not have a ticket. I did pay, I promise. I remember being like, I'm a student, and then I couldn't prove that I was a student, so they gave me this gigantic fine, a ticket, I guess. Here I am, like, I'm basically in tears. Like, I think I'm dying. I'm like, please let me go. Like, I'm at the airport. Like, please just let me up the steps. I need to get to the ticket person. I need to get this plane ticket home. There's like going on. Anyway, so I like accept the ticket that they gave me. I don't remember how much it was. It was a couple $100, a couple £100. And I like get through the ticket. This probably took like 5 minutes, this ordeal. I was really like, okay, buddy, let's go. We have got to move. So I get through the train wicket and I beeline it. I run straight for the desk where I forget which airline I was flying with, but I ran straight to the desk and was like, I need a ticket. Like, you've got to get me on this plane. Like, I have to get out of here. Needless to say, I didn't realize that you just can't like show up at the airport and try and get on a plane, because what that triggers is an investigation. You guys, I got investigated by security, again, at this airport because I was trying to buy a ticket right away and they were like, why do you need to leave? I actually got pulled into the back room. These people were like, why do you need to leave so soon? Why are you showed up at the airport with no ticket? Blah, blah, blah. Here I am, I just start bawling. Like, I think I have cancer, like, give me the ticket, like, I need to get on. So the ticket went from being a no, because originally they did say no, and then I got investigated by security, back, and then I came back, and the lady at the front desk felt so bad for me that not only did they give me a ticket, but she basically charged me nothing. I got the last seat at the very end of the airplane. She charged me like literally maybe $100 because she was like, okay, just get home, like safe trip, blah, blah, blah. I remember being on the airplane, flying home. And that's when I was the most scared, because I was like, people die in the air. Like, what if there's no doctor? What if there's no, what are they called? Like air people to help you. That was the scariest part. And that's why the doctor, when I was at the hospital, was like, you cannot go home. You especially cannot fly home, because if you die, like if something ruptures, if something happens while you're like flying home, you're screwed. So I end up getting home and I go to, this is where the climax of the story kind of all comes together. So I go to the hospital here in Canada. You know, luckily we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world that's free. And we go to the hospital. First of all, I was so skinny. The doctor measured my ankles and asked if I had an eating problem. And I was like, no, I've just been living a hectic life. I've been like, you know, just be me. I'm thin anyway. So if I lost, you know, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, basically I'm non-existent. So after measuring my ankles, finding out that I don't have an eating disorder, he does all the same tests that the same doctor did in England. And he did, they took my blood, which they found in the right spot of my arm. They didn't have to shave me anywhere. They took my blood, they did scans, they did x-rays, you know, whatever they need to do. Lo and behold, nothing. There was absolutely nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me. What? I thought I was dying. So I thought I was dying and absolutely nothing was wrong with me. It could have been trapped gas, some type of like intestinal issue. I don't know, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. You guys, I had just gone through all of that for nothing. I could barely believe it. Anyway, I was home for my birthday. So I remember this was November because that's when my birthday is. I remember coming home, like regrouping for 2 weeks, eating everything, you know, trying to gain a little bit more weight, relaxed for 2 weeks. Girlfriend, I bought myself a ticket and I went straight back. Flew back because I still had stuff I wanted to do. I had things I needed to see before I came home. I had people I needed to see, trips I needed to travel on. So from here, you know, I went over to Dublin with my friend. We saw Britney Spears. Like, I just had a lot of stuff going on. Like, I could not let this little blip in the road steer me from doing what I love. So I continued living my best life and I went back over and I finished going everywhere that I wanted to go. I went to Spain still. I laid in the sun with no tragedy. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking like, okay, I could drop dead at any second. So, you know, just live it up, do your thing, have your fun. And that's exactly what I did. Isn't that one of the craziest stories you've ever heard? And like me, little old me. You know what? After this video, I'm gonna look up all the little bed and breakfasts and pictures and see if any of them ring a bell. And I need to send those people a check. Anyway, guys, that is the end of my I almost died storytime pamperation session, running away from a bed and breakfast, getting a ticket for losing my train ticket. I mean, so much drama. If you guys love this Sunday pamperation session, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up for more crazy stories and comment down below any questions you have, because next Sunday, I want to answer some questions. If you want to hang out with me even more between now and the next video, you can always follow me right here and subscribe right here. If you guys made it to the end of this storytime video, I love and appreciate you so, so much. Until the next video, guys, don't run away from any bed and breakfast because it will haunt you forever. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.